Yeah,
I
I
had a
just wanted to
question for
touch
both of you.
that. Go on.
Yeah, you go first.
Oh, sorry, mate. I just wanted to finish off with something you mentioned there about when we're having this conversation about helping each other. I think startup podcasts like ourselves and all podcasts should be open to doing that. I
Yeah.
think what we should be doing, we connected with a podcast in Liverpool a couple of weeks ago called Truth Temple, and I messaged the guy and we had a bit of a conversation. He was interested in a couple of guests. So Aaron Moon, who I know's trying to do some fundraising for his world record attempt. We passed him on
I had one
there.
yesterday.
Yeah, great guy. What a guy. What a story. And so we passed Aaron on to them guys. They've passed us some back. They've invited us on their show. And that's exactly what we should be doing. I don't think we should look at podcasting as being competitive and I want to be better than any other podcast. Because, let's have it right. It's all based around the consumer. And I think if we can all work together, we put out better material for the people that are going to listen.
Fully agree.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. So, yeah, on to your question, mate.
That's my favourite quote, actually. All ships rise in a high tide.
Yeah, true, man.
That's
Yeah,
the
without
one.
doubt.
Yeah. So
And let's be honest, there must be like plenty of mileage in it for all of us that are having a crack at it, because I just can't believe that people want to listen and that people are out there listening and people are sharing to listen, got the time to listen, got the time to get it like saved down for their commute or whatever. It does blow my mind that in this world of like short form bombardment, that there still are enough people to want to sit down and actually consume this more like longer form conversation and maybe like learn a little bit rather than just taking those little 15-second nuggets.
Yeah, and it's only going to get harder as well to break that pattern.
I think that must be why, though, that the podcast format is growing so much. I know there's an element of independent media to it. You know, if you start listening to more politically orientated pods and stuff like that, but just generally in terms of content consumption, I like to compare it to like my granddad always used to crack on Radio 4 and sit in his garage fettling with some piece of wood or whatever he was doing. He was always in there, and Radio 4 was just on in the background. Radio 4 used to have, I don't know what it's like nowadays, you know, it'd have a bit of a news piece, it'd have a bit of a natural piece, there'd be a bit of a daily play, but it was that sort of like background company, little snippets of nice information that you'd be like, oh yeah, that's, you know, and a bit of education in the same way. And I feel like this sort of content that we put out in a way is like filling that gap between people that don't necessarily want to listen to Radio 4 because it's not, might not be that entertaining for the younger audience, but it's that sort of like low level companion where you might actually pick something up that's useful for your day or for the rest of your month or year, you know, or even the rest of your life. It could change your life. You don't know, do you?
It's real life, isn't it, ultimately?
Mm.
And it's, for me, whenever I listen to a podcast personally, it's sometimes, whether it's if you're in a certain kind of energy or mood yourself and you're open to listening to what's being said and you really submerge yourself in the episode, it could be the smallest throwaway comment that you've probably heard 100 times before, but in that moment, it was the time that you needed it. So you're like, oh, actually, that is so right. Why haven't I realized that before? I'm now going to make that happen. And it's knowing that we're creating those conversations for people to listen and make real changes and resonate with what we're saying. It's, again, it's what's behind it, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
So I just wanted to ask you, I think you mentioned like saunas and cold plunge and stuff earlier on. What's your connection with that then?
So I won't take up loads of time because I want to ask you some questions, but this is the trouble when you get podcasters. So we're all like looking to come in. I've got a question here. I love it.
It's the
But
three-way grill up now.
It's funny. It's funny. Big part of my transformation was the cold water stuff in the sea. I live in a seaside town. Dad was a fisherman, grew up by the coast.
Right.
But became
Big respect to
disconnected.
the fisherman there.
Yeah. Grew up down in Cornwall. My family holiday it wasn't abroad. It was bodyboarding down at Polzeath Beach in Cornwall. That was it. That was all I did.
Mate.
Every
Sounds
summer.
dreamy.
Mate, I loved it. But I became disconnected with my environment and disconnected with the ocean for the whole of my 30s because I was consumed with my work, and I was struggling with stuff that I'd seen, and it was all subconscious behavior, escapism, working, victim mentality, and just, yeah, making all of the wrong choices. And then that was showing up in really poor health, poor management of anxiety, brutal bowel issues, IBS, basically controlling my life to the point where I couldn't go to certain places, and I'm just in my head all the time, worried about my symptoms, in constant pain, and just a
Sounds
shell
savage.
of a man, really. It's, yeah, one day I was like, I got nothing to lose here. I'm just going to go in that sea. And it was the middle of the winter, and I went down, and something happened to me when I went out into the ocean. And from there, it kind of escalated to the point where I was like, I want more of that, because I felt a little bit lighter, and I felt like the anxiety was like, all of a sudden, I was in control of it as opposed to it being in control of me. So I just, yeah, lo and behold, I was hooked. And then I teamed up with some guys that were real extreme winter sport characters. The guys doing the BMXing, they're like fearless lads. And I knew they were doing the sea swimming all year round. So I just messaged them and said, I'm going to come swimming with you on a Saturday morning. Went down middle of February, jumped in, pushed myself to the point of like real frozen cold exposure, and did a bit more as well. And then got out, and then that escalated to one of the guys I was doing that with owned a sauna at the location that I now own his sauna. I bought it off him.
Right, fair play.
Yeah, again,
well done, mate.
those experiences I had.
I've got a couple of mates up here that are sauna owners, like literally 10 minutes walk from where I am now, and they've done really well, man. And they've
it's
got
all from that
great
lived experience of me pushing myself to the absolute limit of sea swimming, knowing that the sauna was firing up as we're swimming, getting out at the crack of dawn, watching the sunrise from the sauna with two lads, opening up a bit, having some real deep conversations again, which I hadn't probably exposed myself to for a long time. The heat of the sauna, whilst your body's frozen, it's warming up. It did something to me, and I didn't realise how significant that was until 2 years later, when again I'd made changes to the point where I was like, I can't go back now. So how do I make this happen? I knew that he was evolving his business, and he'd bought another sauna that was smashing it down in Plymouth. So I just messaged him rather than being like, I'll go and do my own thing. I thought, I got nothing to lose. I'll message him, and he was interested in selling it. So we came to a deal 3 months into owning it now, and it's going really well.
Brilliant, mate. Stoked for you.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's a really good thing for the community as well, because like you just said there, we do a lads sauna night where it's lads sort of 35 through however far you want to go down there and chat about shit that you wouldn't talk about in the pub. You wouldn't talk about necessarily with your missus. It's not quite the same as going and playing a bit of footy or whatever. You probably don't really, you have a pint afterwards and be like, yeah, you're all right, aren't you? Yeah, I'm all right. Whereas this is a bit more like one of the lads, like he was explaining how the wheels had just come off of his daughter because she's just turned 12. And he was really cut up about the fact that all the people he'd spoken to about this was like, well, best case scenario is you'll get her back in about 5 years time. And he's like, my little girl, that relationship now is completely changed. He was really quite upset about it, but all the other lads sort of got around and said, it's not so bad, and these are things you can do. It was a great little therapy sesh, little sauna therapy, mate. So yeah, you're doing a great thing there.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's changed my life, to be honest. I'm having those conversations with near enough everyone that comes down, because this is where I feel that it is all coming together, because the podcast has created that backstory where people know that I'm open to a deeper conversation if they want that.
Mhm.
So that is happening now, where 4 young guys come down at the weekend and didn't look like the kind of guys that were going to be interested in having that kind of conversation, because they're like early 20s. And one of them just said, oh, mate, I've seen the stuff you're doing online and it's amazing. I really resonate with some of the stuff that you're putting out. I got chatting to him, and then he just kept on, he just had this like vibe, and he was like so respectful. And then as he was leaving, I said, mate, just want to say you've made my day there, because for me to get that feedback from yourself from such a younger lad is exactly the reason why I'm doing the podcast. So again, people might not realize that feedback means so much as and it's everything you want. But that environment of the sauna is providing the space for people to just loosen off a little bit, and it's always at the end of the sauna session where people are stood around getting changed and they open up, because it feels like your body feels nice, you've
Endorphins are
warmed up, you've been
firing,
in the cold water.
I think it gives people an outlet
So
to open up as well in a controlled environment, rather than finding answers in the bottom of a bottle, or use of things like recreational drugs, like many people do, to mask mental health issues. You're giving them a positive, safe space to do, which is good. Yeah. And onto your question, mate, we don't want to...
No, that's all good. So my question, again, this is to both of you. So Daymo first, what has the podcast taught you about your mate?
Great question. Great question.
And then I'm gonna,
No,
what did
it's a
you
really
not know
good
about
question.
him that you've seen through the podcast?
Do you know what I've seen in the time we spent together, in the years we spent together? We've had moments of intense laughter, and we've had moments of arguments, as you can imagine. Many a times we've been at each other's throats, and that's just life. What it's taught me about Fishhead is that our friendship and bond is far stronger than I thought, to the point where he can be emotional around me. Now, I'd never seen that. To see him be emotional with tears in his eyes, speaking about his friend, to have a follow-up conversation about that moment in his life in my kitchen afterwards, a conversation I never thought I'd have about how he was feeling about the entire thing, has taught me that we can definitely open up to each other a lot more than I ever thought we could do. Which has been great. In terms of his life, Ollie, God, I learn something new every week about him. You know, this fella gets where water can't. I think he's stepped foot on most continents in the world. But it's really shown me as a friend that I can rely on him. And it's great. I mean, he's probably going to disagree. I love ringing him every single day, pecking his head about guests and bouncing ideas off each other. And I can open up to him. I mean, I've opened up about things, developing OCD as a kid and developing obsessions with bathing with bleach as a child, because I felt so violated. And if it wasn't for doing the podcast and being able to be around these people who inspire us to open up ourselves, I never would have done that with him.
I love that, mate. Yeah. It's testament to yourself that you're comfortable to speak in that way and reflect back, because it's not easy for blokes to express not only your own emotions, but when you're talking about being grateful for your friendships and the people around you. For me, it's like you don't have those regrets then, because we never like, without being morbid about it, you just never know, do you? Like the last time you might see somebody, and then the regrets of not just saying to someone, I appreciate you as a friend. So it's powerful, it's beautiful.
Oh, it's great. It's great to go
So
on this.
I'll go
journey.
now.
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, so what have I learned about Damien? The thing that I really have learned is how hyper focused he can be, and in the right way. Like, Damien will happily tell you that he's not someone that can really lock on to something and focus on it for a long period of time and make the most of it, unless it's something that he's passionate about. So in our current job, there's nothing he doesn't know, because it's his passion. And I thought when we started this, I'll be honest, that this would be a lot like some of Damien's other interests that like come and go pretty quickly, really get into it for a small period of time, and then we're off to the next thing. But as we've done more recordings and spoken to more people, I can just see that his like appetite for dissecting more guests, and I mean that in the nicest way possible, because he's not doing it in a manner to, you know, get something for a reel, or just get some controversial speech out of it. He genuinely has an in-depth interest in expanding his mind and getting details out of people's lives for other people. And yeah, he really just is he's like a Jack Russell with a rat at the moment. Like he just said, like the amount of phone calls I get a day with some sort of idea, whether it's a guest idea, recording idea, something for the socials idea, or like, have you listened to this podcast? I don't know how you do it, Damien. I don't know how you get through as many pods as you do. He's like, yeah, I've listened to this one today and that, and I'm like, fucking all right. I'm trying to get these booked in for like a long commute so I can get them done. So really, is just like passion, tenacity, and like dedication to doing this has like really opened my eyes to, you know, having someone alongside you doing something that has that amount of drive really has sort of changed my. I've always wanted to work alone, really. Yeah, obviously in a job where you're working as part of a team, that's different because you're applying yourself where you need multiple hands to do the job. If I'm doing something for myself, I prefer to just shut everyone else out so I get my standard, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist twat, right? Damien will vouch for this.
Fully vouch for that,
But with
mate.
him, I feel like for the first time I've got someone that is not necessarily doing things that I do to the same standard, but the way that he's conducting himself and pushing those other aspects of it is just like bringing us together as a team to a higher level. Like you said before, mate, a high tide raises all ships. Yeah. And I feel like us as a team, we definitely lift what we're capable of producing to a higher level. And I got to respect him for that.
I like that. It sounds like as well what one of you's got, the other one needs. It's like you're filling
Yeah.
each
yeah,
other's
for sure, mate,
weaknesses,
yeah.
whether they're weaknesses or not.
100%.
But,
It's
yeah,
quite funny, really.
My
It's quite
problem is
funny, Ollie,
that.
because go on, mate. I'll let you finish before I add this.
Go on, Dave.
I was gonna say it's quite funny, Ollie,
No, you
because
go, Dave.
because we've lived in two complete different areas, and I've openly said it on a podcast. I could spell fudge with my GCSE results. Fishhead is very clearly eloquent in the way he speaks. You know, I'll get him to write the emails to guests. You know, guests who are maybe a bit more intelligent. I'll get him to write all them emails because I see the value in what he can bring. And I think for all of us, including you, Ollie, do you not think what we're doing is creating an encyclopedia of a library and an encyclopedia of conversations for people to listen to years from now? And what I want to touch on is, and it means a lot to me this now, and it will to you, and I know it will to Fisher at some point in his life, is my son is 6, and I'd love nothing more than my son to listen to me at 15 and 18 and listen to Aaron Moon and Frank and Amy and listen to these stories of resilience and learn something from it then. It's a way of me leaving something behind as well. I don't know if you feel the same, Ollie.
100%. What is sprinkled in each episode? Little bits of like that stuff that's going on behind the scenes, where you talk about wanting to do something to make your kids proud, and you talk about how much you learn through looking at life through your kids' eyes, and other stuff as well. And you talk about different friends and different family members. It just comes out at the right time in the podcasts, and for my kids to listen to that stuff at a later date. And I know my mum, for example, she watches every podcast. She watches them all on YouTube. And again, I'll just sprinkle little bits in there. And it's nice because it's going back to what we said earlier about not regretting telling people what you really feel. Is I know that it's given me that opportunity to express gratitude and to just get it all out. And there's nothing quite like it. It's like giving a speech at a wedding or a funeral, but you're doing it now and you're not having to wait for those moments. It's on
Yeah,
that
it's a good
level.
way of looking at it. It's a good way of looking at it.
It also, like you just said there, it makes it in a way more sincere, because the old speech at a wedding or a funeral, the first thing you're going to do is Google like speech structure, wedding, funeral, and you're going to be rattling that out to a certain structure. You're also going to be conscious of your audience. So you're going to tailor what you say in a written speech to the time at which you're going to give the speech or the event. Whereas when you just free flow on something like this, it's coming out literally at that moment from the heart. And, you know, when you do, like you say, show that gratitude or realize that gratitude, express it for your parents, your son, your daughter, you know, your wife, anyone that's been in your life, like that's coming from that authentic place. It's the authenticity. It's not pre-planned. It's not structured. It's just real.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
think
great for guests as
authenticity
well.
is that's the word.
I mean,
Yeah, true,
we've
Dame.
had this a couple of times, Ollie. I don't know if you've had it with any of your guests. And this is more at line with guests who maybe aren't authors or actors or even celebrities. Is people say to us all the time, and I know Fish will back me up, no one's interested in what I have to say. No one will care what I have to say. And the amount of times you have to say to people, no, that's not the way to think. Like people, everyday people have so much value. I mean, your podcast, The Shapes of Resilience, I mean, we all went through COVID. Everyone had to show resilience in that period. And I think well, this is how I feel as a podcast host. I could have anyone sat in front of me, let me speak to them, let me ask them questions, and we will bring up something where that person has without a doubt shown resilience and without a doubt has had an experience that brings value to other people.
100%.
More so, and I see it all the time. And it's for me, it's not that has that person showed resilience, because we all show resilience. It's for me, does that person realize the value in the resilience that they've shown? And that's when
Yeah,
we can have a
exactly.
conversation at that point. Yeah. And again, it's got nothing to do with status, fame, any of that kind of stuff. In some ways, there's nothing I enjoy more than the conversations I've had that have never been on a podcast before.
Yeah, I
There's
agree.
something quite cool about that.
Yeah, we've had some of our best feedback on people that are the everyman or every woman.
What's been your standout moment so far then?
What do you
Probably
think, Fish?
dropping the ball on a big podcast and not actually getting the recording out. I know that doesn't sound like a success point, but it actually was a turning point in terms of me like realizing that, right, I need to get my shit together. I really need to understand this. Like it was a missed opportunity that really, really hurt at the time. But I think having learned from it, dialed into the way that I can mitigate it, make sure it doesn't happen again, and taken maybe a bit. It's basically just lifted my level a little bit higher. It's not knocked us down. Yeah, it's a shame it didn't go out, but if anything, it's made every subsequent pod since then a lot better.
Yeah. I think for
You
me,
always
Ollie,
learn
my
from
standout
those
moment.
moments.
Yeah. I think for me, my standout moment, and without sounding selfish in terms of like a goal for the wider podcast and the listeners, it's the ability to form a relationship and reconnect with my brother. And the reason I say this is me and my brother fell out. We didn't speak for 10, 12 years. And he was diagnosed with cancer around 18 months ago. Now, fortunately for my brother, he's had the chemotherapy and an operation. He's still here with us today, which is great. And that cancer diagnosis brought me and him back together. But what the podcast has done is telling our own stories of my childhood, our childhood with our mum and our dad. It's built that relationship again with my brother to the point where he'll ring me a couple of times in a week and say, "Oh, mate, I listened to the podcast with Sam, the prison officer, and that was really good." And so it's built, or should we say, rebuilt a relationship in my life that I never thought was going to be there.
Do you think that's because, yeah, that's beautiful, mate. Do you feel that part of that is that when people you know and family members that might be holding on to some kind of resentment or something that's happened, and they build this picture in their head of who you are as a person, but then when they hear you speak on a podcast, you got no choice, but they're seeing that you're not that person, that you are. We create like a vision in our heads to please ourselves with our narrative of what we want to believe, because we're hurt and we might be holding on to something. We don't want to accept that sometimes we might be to blame for certain breakdowns in relationships. But then when your brother's watching you on the podcast and he's seeing that you're this inspirational bloke that's honest and that's capable of having deep conversations, and you're trying to do something good to help others, like that probably brought back emotions for him where he's like, "Oh, I'm proud of my brother. I want to like reconnect with him."
Yeah, of course, mate. I think it did. and the ambition is to get him on an episode with us at some point and speak
nice.
about it and speak about our life without a shadow of a doubt. And back to your point about people listening to us, I think certainly in our work setting, people would consider me to be a bit of a time the class clown, always messing about, always up for having banter. And when people listen to the podcast, yeah, I agree. Maybe they understand that I'm not always in the business of wanting to have a laugh and take the piss. Like, I do care about what people say and think and feel. I consider myself to be a very loyal person. And I always say this is why I do the rounds, ringing people all the time. I just love the connection I have with people. So yeah, I think people's perceptions of me on the podcast would be different to my everyday life when they realize that I'm, happy to open up.
100%. I'd say Damien's probably, I mean, maybe both of us have shocked a few people. Like when they listen back, they're like, yeah, that's not what I expected at all. Like, he can formulate a deep and meaningful conversation with, and yeah, a few people have said like, yeah, not what I expected, boys. And I think you're right. Your public persona, your work life persona, even in your you have household persona, don't you? And we sort of flip between these in daily life, but once you get half an hour, 40 minutes deep into a long form conversation with someone who's really interesting, like you're not got anything on you there. There's no edge. It's just you and them. And I love that.
So here's another question, and following on from that, do you struggle now with small talk outside of the podcast on a surface level?
It's a good question.
Great question.
I'm not much of a social animal myself, mate. So most of the time I spend with people, it's usually time that I do want to talk and listen to them. As Damien will know, I quit drinking over a year ago. It's not stopped me going down the pub or whatever, but I would say that my social life has definitely changed to do much more sort of meaningful things with other people, a bit like the lads sauna club, whether it's going surfing, going down the beach for a windsurf, doing a bit of a charity event. We're going to yomp across some hills in a couple of weeks. That'll sort of bring some people that are like-minded and that I want to talk to together. So I guess for me, not really. I haven't seen it change my approach in that way. If anything, it might have even gone the other way, where now I'm like trying to dial into people and have a good chat all the time, almost, and make it more meaningful when you speak to people.
So it's flipped it. So you're not sat
Yeah, I
there
think
having
so,
to have
yeah.
those conversations because you're constantly looking at ways at opening the conversation up. So it's not a negative.
Looking for more, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I think
About you, Damo?
for me, Ollie, for me, mate, I need conversation. I need it daily and in abundance with
Don't we know
varying people. And I think when we grow and we get older, I mean, when we're 20, we all thought we knew the ins and outs of the world's arsehole, didn't we? And we didn't. And you get to 30 and then you have a child and you start realizing that a lot of me needing conversation at times is because I can't deal with my own thoughts at times. I struggle internally myself to be alone. And I've said this to Fishhead and the lads at work. I find peace in a room full of people having conversation. In that situation, people might say it's loud and it's hectic. That's where I find peace. Where I struggle to find peace is sat alone, because when I sit alone, then my mind will wander and I'll relive and think about things that I don't want to. So I suppose you could class the small talk as escapism. Maybe it is. But one thing I've learned since the podcast is that I need to recognize that and I need to work on it. So I will regularly have multiple conversations with people all day, ranging from are aliens real to really deep, meaningful conversations about life and life after death and all these types of things. So it's not really stopped me. If anything, it's been great for me because I get a lot of phone calls from friends who have listened to the pod and they want to talk about bits of it themselves. And I love that. I've always got time for anyone who wants to ring me and have a chat. I don't know about you.
Mate, I couldn't agree more. I love it when someone messages, I'll just listen to this podcast. It might not be the most recent one, it's quite often not. And there's a guy that sent me this real long message, and it was, I just listened to that podcast, and what I took from that was this, and what I'm now going to apply in my life is, and I was thinking, that's pretty cool. And it does, it happens all the time, but it happens sometimes when you're not desperate for it to happen, which again, I believe in that we create that magnet effect of energy. So when I get a bit carried away and become fixated and desperate for the podcast, I love connecting with people and I love it reaching new people. So that's all I'm really hoping for. And I love nothing more than receiving a message, or when I put a post online, someone resonating with it. And when that doesn't happen for a period of time, I then start to create the wrong energy. So then I'm not bringing that into my reality. Do you know what I'm saying? But when I step back and become in the right energy, and I'm grateful, and I'm just in a better place mentally, like you said, Daymo, it's then stuff starts falling into place, and then I've created the correct energy to draw the things that I'm hoping for into my life. And that, again, like the podcast is the primary driver of that every time.
Nice.
I've got a question
Yeah.
for you, Ollie, if you don't mind me asking. When you're looking at your podcast and potential guests, what influences you in choosing the type of guests you want on your show? I'll wait till he comes back and answer that.
Kindness. Yeah.
So do you ever see anything in the media or the news that makes you want to investigate that avenue? And I don't mean things such as, God, OnlyFans models. I mean, if you see, for instance, there's no secret there's a rising rate of cancer and cancer diagnosis all over the world. So we then did a podcast with a lady who's super inspirational, a truly single mum living with stage 4 cancer, in order to raise awareness of it.
Yeah. For me, when I'm looking at potential podcast guests in the future and where I want it to go, it's driven by something internal, where it's more around a feeling I have. And I love the stepping stone thing. For me, rather than just identifying I want that person on the podcast and there's no organic connection or a way of using my existing contact base to then, I don't know, like navigate my way stepping stone wise into their awareness. So I feel, and it's quite a cool game to play. And it's stuff, again, I learned in the podcast mentorship is, and they used an example of, they had like their target guest. So they picked off the people around them because they were slightly easier to connect with, maybe didn't have quite a bigger a reach or whatever, or following. And then they had a message from their primary target saying, oh, why haven't you asked me to come on your podcast? Because everyone that they saw had been on this podcast. So there's loads of different ways that my mind works. But again, because I am so creative really in the ways that I connect with people, and that I try and find the right kind of tone to go in when I message people. And it's quite often just a 20-second voice note, to the point, none of this flowering it up,
mate.
no chat GPT, boring stuff where it's, oh, I listen to this podcast and what I love is none of that. It's just, do you want to come on the podcast? Really? It's, and that more than often,
Funny
You
should
use
say
that a
that.
lot, don't you,
works.
Dave? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you drop the
me,
voice notes a lot, don't you? And it seems to
I
get
mean,
you a
that's how
good bit of traction, doesn't it?
Yeah.
it's how me and Ollie connected. I think the beauty of it is God, we're podcasters, so it's about our voice. It's not about the written word. And when I send a voice note to a potential guest, I want them to hear my voice, hear the passion we have, hear a bit about us. And I always follow it up with, if you're interested in coming on the podcast, let's just jump on for a quick 5-minute call just so you can ask us a few questions about us, our mission statement, and what we want to do with a podcast. I think it's the best way to do it personally.
100%. And that's where I've had most of my biggest successes. Yeah, without a doubt. And I think it's that sincerity is a word I'd describe, because when I heard your voice note, you can just tell there's sincerity there. There's no hidden agenda, which is what feedback I had from a guy called Jimmy Narain that had come on the podcast. And because I was quite I was grateful to Jimmy when he came on the podcast because he's got a big following. He's busy, successful guy in Dubai, and he came on a podcast and right in the early days, and he said to me those exact same things, that he could see that there was no hidden agenda. So he said, you you look in, you can see the mission there. And some people, I'd argue most people that are doing what they're doing for the right reasons and with sincerity, they can see when someone's also doing the same. So that's where I feel there is that fight and chance for people like ourselves, that the right people will back us and support us in what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite obvious, you know, I've never been trained in broadcasting or being involved in media or journalism or any of them things. And as far as I'm aware, Fisher hasn't either, although he does sound like a news broadcaster at times. And I think that comes across, it comes across real. I think people connect with it more, to be quite honest with you. There's a time and a place for the people who've been to university and studied journalism. Andrew Gold, who runs the Heretics podcast, he's really good at the way he speaks for certain things. But I think people just connect to us, don't we? The way we are. It's just real. There's nothing wrong with messing up a little bit. It shows that we're just on this journey for the right
It's all
reasons.
part of it. It's all part of it. I don't listen back to the episodes. I just take them for what they are. I'll know if there's an obvious bit in there that needs a bit of work or something that might need removing. But other than that, like this conversation, it'll be, there's nothing in there that I'm not happy with. It's just good to go, and that's it really. But what about yourselves? Has there been? Oh, he's just loading, and he's back. Has there been moments in the podcast where you back?
Yeah, we're back. We're here, mate.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, good. I was going to ask, when you're mid-conversation, have there been moments in the podcast where you're talking and you're like, I don't know where I'm going with this, and you just got to kind of hope for the best and pull yourself out of a mess sometimes, and try and make it relevant, try and make it make sense, and find the word that you know's there, but you can't remember what it is? It's humble pie.
On our first one. Yeah.
Go on, Fish.
With Chris Middleton, I just started going off on one, and I after a couple of sentences, I was like, "Oh God, you've done it here," because I'm already thinking about the next question, but I've forgotten halfway through the first question what that question was. I was like, "Oh shit, I've got to like go on some big loop around here." But having played it back afterwards, it didn't sound too bad, but like in my head, like blind panic, onion ring pits, sweating profusely. Yeah, I was like, God, where am I going? Yeah. But other than that, not too bad. I tend, because Damien's more of a chatter, and this is a nice thing about having the dual hosting.
Yeah,
is I will sit and cook. I'll cook a question for a good bit and really sort of flesh it out in my mind so that I know where I'm going with it first, and then I'll just try and let it slot in as naturally as possible. But, you know, sometimes the annoying thing about doing that is you'll cook a really good question and then the conversation moves on to something else. And that's really good. So then I don't want to say, just to bring you back to such and such, because we're on to some really good stuff. So sometimes you just got to let that question fly. But yeah, I tend to sort of cook them up a bit more. What about you, Dame?
I've got a suggestion there.
I think you've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, just on that, I thought I'm going to chuck it in there before the exact thing happens that we were just talking about there, when you were saying before it goes left. So I thought before it goes left, you could have almost like a sign thing or a signal or something on the table where Damo then knows that you've got this deeper layer onion stripping question bubbling in your head. So before Damo then might go off somewhere else with a conversation, it's like at the next natural point, I'm gonna let you come in and ask that question. Like you could have some kind of signal or something, because I know how annoying that is, and it's nothing personal when it happens, but I feel like there's probably a load of gold there, because you seem like the kind of guy that will think, and it will come to you, and then it's like it's come from that natural place, and it can be a little bit frustrating then if if you're cooking up these questions and not getting the opportunity to present them as they come out.
Yeah, so maybe we need to just have a biro on the table or something. And if I flick
Yeah.
the biro to point at me, I'm waiting to go. I'd say the
Yeah.
only problem with that is that because we're like more guerrilla style podcasts setting up in people's lounges, in like offices, you know, watchtower of a yacht club and all that sort of stuff, is sometimes we're not in that same environment where we're right next to each other and can clearly see something. But that is something actually I think it's a good
You could just
idea
have
that
a
we
mad
should take forward,
outburst
Dave.
and make it a joke
Yeah,
where
it's
you
great
just literally
idea.
go, fish head, fish head, and then it's like, you've not interrupted, it'll carry on.
Everyone think I've got Tourette's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. I agree with Fishhead. I think the way we operate. I haven't got. Are you there, Ollie? We haven't got him. He's gone.
Yeah.
Can you see him there, Fish?
No. Yeah.
He's gone. I can't see him.
I'm
No,
here.
I'm good.
He's loading
It's all right. It's
online. Can you hear me?
someone
Can you
called my
speak to
phone.
him?
Yeah. It's when someone phones the I forgot to put it on airplane mode. So someone phoned me
Right.
and it cut out and then
Hang
it
on.
started a new recording, annoyingly. So I'm gonna have to
99%.
put a bit of time into this edit.
What are you laughing at?
Laughing at the fact that Ollie's saying this isn't going to be a quick edit now because he's just had to restart it.
I
It does
can't
it
hear him.
automatically. Someone phoned me.
I can't see him on my
you not-
screen.
It's all right. It's I know that I'm just gonna have to chunk off this first minute of this recording, so it's cool. I'm not gonna have to find it. It's video free.
No worries.
I can't hear him
and
or
we can
see him.
start wrapping it
Fishhead,
up
I'm
in
just
a-
going
in
to
a
go
sec
for a
anyway.
quick piss. Tell him while he's doing this.
All right,
Yeah.
maybe all right, Dave, go for a slash. Maybe we might have to just restart your login or something if you're not working. Just a quick one, Ollie. Where's your sauna then?
So I'm down in Devon.
Yeah, whereabouts?
So I'm in Brixton, which is Torbay. You've got
Yeah, I know
Torquay, Paignton, Brixton, and it's there's like a seawater Lido swimming pool, 50
Right.
meters long, and I'm at the beach and I'm just in the car park there overlooking the sea.
Nice.
It's a wicked view, and the two cold plunge tubs are sat on the perch, and all you can see is the ocean. It's like all you can see is the
Lovely.
sunrise coming up. You got dolphins, seals, gannets. It's class, but for me, it's like it's my side thing at the moment. I want to get to the point where I can take that risk and leave the day job. And
Funnily enough, I was actually looking into trying if I end up moving back Manchester way, I would be over in West Yorkshire, sort of like at the foot of the York Moors there, West York Moors. And there's a lot of like wild swimming and stuff that goes on there.
Yeah.
And it's on my radar that if I find somewhere to pot one up, I would definitely be on for it because my mate here is absolutely crushing it. He's starting a third one, all within about 30 miles of each other. Yeah, he's killing
I'm in
it.
contact with a couple of locations now, and it's
I've
going to
lost
take
sound
off.
with him and everything, mate. What do I need to do here?
Can you see me at all, mate, or not? Was it
Damien? Yeah, he's out.
He's out.
Yeah.
Waiting in the lobby. Let him. He's back.
Yes,
Nice. That's right, because that's cool. So
Yeah.
I know we've done what I knew we'd do, and we've got to the point now where we're nowhere near the end of our conversation because it's one of those chats, isn't it, where we're just happy chatting about podcasts, chatting about life. But yeah, I think it'd be nice to finish it off by asking you both what success would look like in 12 months' time for the podcast.
I'll let you take this one first, Dame.
So 12 months time. So a catalogue of, like yourself, Ollie, 50 plus episodes would be great. Consistent episodes, build a little bit more of a following on the social media. And that's just to put the word of the podcast out there, to keep delivering a broad spectrum of stories from different people. And for me, I really, really want to do a podcast in another country. So success for me And an ambition I've got is I really want to step foot in another country. Might be Egypt. We've got aspirations of going to do a podcast because we're into archaeology, or maybe even connecting with some professional winter sports athletes in France, doing something around winter sports. That would be great for me. Success is going to be measured for me in just the feedback we get of people. And if that anyone can just connect with us and say they've resonated with anything, learned anything, felt better about themselves, or even if they've shared our podcast on to another person, it's helped them. That's worth its weight in gold for me, mate.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure really how much I've got to add to that. I mean, certainly within a year, I think getting to do a pod at the base of the pyramids in Giza might be a bit of a stretch, but certainly, like Damien says, to hook up with some more extreme sports athletes where they might be doing their business, whether it's on the water sports side with some of the connections that I've got, or on the snow sports side with some of the things that Damien's working on at the moment. Yeah, I think something like that would be great. I'd really want to try and continue to run the sort of idea of the podcast being able to set up anytime, anywhere,